Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good afternoon, selamat petang yang saya ucapkan. Yang saya hormati Cikgu Bobby bersama-sama dengan kita, and kepada para penonton sekalian, viewer daripada yang melihat di YouTube sekarang ni. Lebih kurang sekarang ni ada lebih kurang dalam 200 lebih student dan juga mungkin ada guru-guru yang bersama dengan kita. Terima kasih saya ucapkan daripada Management and Science University. Saya Nur Azlifah Jaafar, saya Academic Counsel daripada Management and Science University. Dan bersama dengan program ini sebenarnya adalah bersama dengan Pendidikan Daerah Johor Bahru, anjuran dengan Penjabat Pendidikan Daerah Johor Bahru bersama dengan MSU. Kita buat program ini khas untuk pelajar-pelajar yang akan mengambil SPM yang akan start pada bulan Februari nanti ya cikgu, tak salah saya bulan Februari nanti. So kita dah buat paper matematik, sejarah dan juga bahasa Melayu. So today kita akan bersama dengan Cikgu Bobby untuk buat paper bahasa Inggeris pula ya. So izinkan saya untuk kenalkan dulu tentang MSU. So MSU adalah sebuah universiti ya. Kita dah lama dan kita dah hasilkan ramai graduan sebenarnya ya, dan kita antara top 10 di Malaysia, universiti top 10 di Malaysia, dan juga kita ada world ranking ya. And kita ada banyak program, kita ada 160 lebih program. Kalau para penonton tengok dekat belakang saya ni ada berbaris program yang kita tawarkan ya, start daripada medical sampailah farmasi, engineering, business, hospitality, tourism, chef ya, culinary arts. Kita ada management, logistic management, kita ada education ya, termasuklah education in TESOL, teaching English as second language, kita ada early child education dan macam-macam lagi ya. And diterajui oleh Yang Bahagia Profesor Tan Sri Datuk Masyuki Abdul Yajid. Dan kita punya main campus adalah di MSU Shah Alam. Kita punya main campus, dan MSU ni ada di seluruh Malaysia sebenarnya cawangannya, dan termasuklah di Johor Bahru, Johor ya. Kalau kat Johor Bahru ni di Jalan Tampoi dekat sahaja. Okay. So pelajar-pelajar bolehlah kalau nak mengetahui lebih lanjut kenaan MSU, bolehlah tengok website MSU ataupun tengok IG kami ya, MSU ataupun MSU College ya. Kalau di Johor Bahru ni ada MSU College Johor Bahru, so bolehlah melihat di IG tersebut ya. Dan kita ada sediakan beasiswa, Yayasan MSU ada menyediakan beasiswa untuk pelajar-pelajar yang nak ikuti program start daripada program certificate, diploma, foundation, ijazah sampailah ke master dan PhD. Okay, right. So kalau berminat, so kita akan bertanya dekat sini ataupun tanya dekat masa kemudian ya. Okay, so before kita start, kita akan sharekan, kita akan tengok video MSU sekejap ya, dalam masa 2 minit sahaja. So kita akan tengok MSU main campus insya-Allah ya. Okay, sekejap je ya. Okey, so itulah sikit berkenaan MSU. So sekarang ni sampailah masanya kita akan serahkan kepada Cikgu Bubi untuk mengenalkan sedikit Cikgu pada pelajar-pelajar dan mungkin guru yang ada kat sini, dan kemudian seterusnya untuk sesi Bahasa Inggeris format baru peperiksaan Kssm ya. Okay, so thank you so much Cikgu kerana bersama dengan kami dan sudi menyampaikan ilmu kepada penonton-penonton sekarang. Dengan segala hormatnya saya mempersilakan Cikgu Bobby Chanzi. Silakan Cikgu.
Alright, thank you. Okay, thank you, Puan Azlifa. Alright, okay, can you hear my voice? Okay, alright, good. Okay, so first of all, I'd like to thank PH MSU and also PPD Baharu for giving me this opportunity to share this afternoon session with all of you. Okay, my name is Mr. Bobby. So I'm currently teaching in SMK Sri Peling Johor Bahru. Okay, and I've been teaching English for 20 years. Okay, so I've seen some familiar names actually on the screen. So welcome. And then just to let you know, today's sharing, I think most teachers have been doing this with their students in school. Okay, so we are going to have a quick recap, okay, quick sharing on the four papers that we are going to, the four papers that I'm going to discuss with you, okay, for English this year. All right. So let me just begin with the slides. So first of all, okay, this has been mentioned so many times, CFR, then your teachers have been mentioning this all the time. Okay, the bands, okay, then, so what is this actually? Okay, so what is actually CFR? So this year, starting this year, you will be having the CFR. So SPM based, we have the CFR band, okay, in CFR, in this SPM this year. So it's what we call Bahasa Inggeris yang dijajarkan kepada CFR. Okay, so it is actually very similar to what we had previously. It's just that it wasn't that obvious. So now, this year, we are focusing very directly at the four skills. So you have reading paper, okay? So the first paper is reading, then the writing paper, and then the speaking paper, and then the listening paper. So I'm very sure your teachers have been doing this in schools with you, okay? So this is what CFR actually aims, okay? So I will just bring your focus to this part. So it's to reinforce pupils' basic understanding of the English language so that they are able to communicate in the language. Okay, so it's for all of you, the Form 5 students, okay, I mean from Standard 1 onwards. So for students to be able to communicate well in the English, okay, in the English language, for us to be ready for the future world. Okay, so it enables us to communicate effectively in a lot of contexts in the future. Okay, so I will skip the first part, but I think you have to know the assessment objectives here. Okay, so in your exam, it is always very important to know the assessment objectives. Okay, so the first one is to the ability to correspond, to interact, to collaborate with people for different purposes. Second one, ability to understand and process information from various sources. So ability to use and present information in spoken and written form. Okay, ability to understand and give response to different texts. So ability to express ideas, opinions, thoughts, and feelings. Okay, so imaginatively and creatively in spoken written form. Then number 6, ability to understand and use grammar correctly and effectively. So basically, it will test you on your ability to use the English language here. Okay? So let us look at the breakdown here. So you have 4 papers. Okay, 4 papers. So you have the reading paper, you have the writing, you have the speaking, you have the listening. Okay, so something that you have to remember all the time. So for reading paper, you have 40 marks. Okay, so there are 40 questions. For writing paper, you have 3 questions, so you have 60 marks here. Okay, for speaking, you have 24 marks. Okay, 24 marks. And then for listening, you have 30 marks. Okay, but everything will be converted into percentage, okay, the percentage. So you will have 25%, 25%, 25%, 25%. So overall, you have 100% here. So this year is very different from previous years. So meaning you cannot say which paper is more superior than the other. Okay, meaning every paper, they have the equal weightage here. So which means if you want to score about 80% to get an A, okay, or maybe you want to score 90 to get an A+. So you have to know where is your strength and where are your weaknesses. How do you want to actually, how do you want to improvise yourself? Okay, where do you want to get more marks from? Okay, say for example, if you think you are not so good in speaking, okay, so you have to know how to improve yourself in speaking. And you cannot say just because you don't like speaking, you totally ignore the paper because the weightage is 25%. Okay, and then the time, the duration is very important here. Okay, so for reading paper, you have 1 hour 30 minutes. So writing 1 hour 30 minutes. Then for speaking 13 minutes. And then for listening 40 minutes. You have to put this in your mind because time management is very important, especially when you are writing. Okay, especially when you are writing. Okay. So this was what I mentioned just now. Okay, so let me just bring you into the first paper. Okay, the reading and use of English here. Okay. So in the reading paper, you have 5 different parts. So the first part, you have short text. So this will give you 8 marks. Okay, then second part, you have rational clause, you have 10 marks. Then for the third part, you have extended reading comprehension. So this is where the longer text comes in. So I'm just giving you a brief introduction first. Later, we are going to this in detail. Then for part 4, you have gap text. So I'm very sure you've done this in Form 3 also, the gap text. And the last part, you have matching and information transfer. So this will give you 8 marks. So total of 40 marks here. Okay? So you have to answer every question. Okay, you have to answer every question. So there is no options for you to choose from. Okay? Right. So let us look at the first part, the short text here. So generally, this will be the objective questions. Objective questions. So you have 8 questions based on various forms of text. So you have notices, you have short text messages, you have dialogues, you have advertisements, and then maybe posters, okay, and things like that. Okay. So how do you want to do that? How do you want to answer that? For sure, of course, you have to read. It's a reading paper. You have to read the text very carefully. Okay, so you have to pay attention to the small print and the footnotes. So you may see that there will be very small print maybe at the bottom of the question or the poster or the pictures given. Okay, so those are the things you cannot ignore. Okay, so meaning you have to look at every small detail given there. Okay, the footnotes as well. Okay, next, you have to understand it well before deciding on the correct answer. Okay, so there are only 8 questions. So you cannot simply just make a wild guess or anything. Okay, you have to understand the text very well. Then analyze the options, because if you notice, if you compare this SPM questions to PT3 questions, the statements may seem very similar. Okay, there are many times when you have to read more than just once to see whether or not it is actually the correct answer, because they may be quite confusing. And you will see that there are many answers that seem to be the answers. Okay? Then the next one, so you can eliminate the unlikely options. So there will be times when you see that the answer is not really the answer, you can cross them out. That will make your life easier. Okay? So this one comes from the sample given by Lembaga Peperiksaan. Okay, I think many of you have done this also. So question 1, so you can see the text is not that long, it's of medium length. So you have to read, then you have to find the answer. So 3 options given to you. Okay, so similarly, the next question, you have question 3 here. Also, so you see a lot of figures there, numbers and so on. So you have to look at the key question, the keyword in the question. So which of the following is true? Okay, so there will be times when it's asking about true one, which one is untrue, which one is not true, okay, which one is the accurate one. So you have to identify the correct keyword first in the question, okay? So this will be the simple ones. Okay, so moving on to second part. So the second part will be the rational clause. Okay, so the rational clause, you have 10 numbered blanks. So both grammar and vocabulary are tested here. Okay, so this is where you will see a lot of questions asked on tenses, prepositions, conjunctions, okay, even vocabulary, okay? So The strategies you have to do, you have to follow. So read through the text to get the general idea. First of all, just read through the text. Okay, there will be a lot of blanks there, but it's okay. So just get the gist, get the idea of what the text is about. Okay, then you pay attention to the words or sentences before and after the blank. So these will give you the clue here. So you have to focus on what comes before, what comes after the blank. Okay, so if you see it is a modal verb in front, then you will know the next verb should be in the base form or the root word. So these are the clues here. Okay, next one, so study the options given so you can eliminate the unlikely ones. So you can just delete the ones that are not actually correct. So make sure the option you have chosen is the same tense, is of the same tense or fits the rest of the sentence. So if you read from the very first line, from the very first paragraph, you will know that maybe, okay, this text is in past tense. Okay, so the whole text is in past tense. So basically, you know the rest of the passage will be using past tense as well. Okay, so next one. So finally, you have to read through the passage again to see if your answers make sense. Okay, so this is something you have to remember. Always check through your answers. Okay, so this will be the question for part 2. Okay, the pangolin, also from the sample. So you have seen this also in school, I'm very sure. Okay, so all right. So you can see the first 0 is testing on the prepositions. Okay, then you can see questions on vocab. Okay, which one to choose from, which one to use, the better choice of words here. Okay. All right, so let me bring you to part 3. You have extended text reading comprehension. So extended gives you the idea that it's going to be longer. Okay, a bit longer. So you have an extended text with 8 option multiple choice questions, with 8 4-option multiple choice questions. So meaning instead of A, B, C, you have A, B, C, and D. So this extract can be from a novel or from a magazine, okay? So the strategies you can use. So read the text at least twice, okay, to get a general idea of the text. So some of you may choose to read the questions first, which is not wrong. Huh? So some teachers in your school may tell you, you read the questions first. Okay, sometimes I tell my students the same thing also. You may want to read the questions first for you to get a gist of what the questions, the idea of what the question's asking you, or you want to read the text first. Okay, but the text will be quite long if you compare the text to PD3 based questions. Huh? Okay, so underline the main idea of each paragraph. So if you don't want to underline, it's okay. You just get the main idea. You have to know what is the paragraph telling you. Okay, is it focusing on the who? Is it focusing on the reasons? Is it focusing on the causes and so on? Okay, so next you read the questions carefully. So if you have done reading the questions, it's okay. So next, highlight the keywords. So basically the keywords, okay, to help you locate the information needed to answer the questions. So read the options carefully. So you have 4 options to choose from. So basically you have to go through everything. You cannot just simply choose the word and you think, okay, just because the word is here, that is the answer. Not really, okay? Then locate the answer in the text. Okay, basically it's quite easy. So remember that the most likely answer may be paraphrased. So this is what you have to understand. So the answer may not be exactly as how it is in the passage. So the answer could have been paraphrased, meaning they have been restructured. Okay, so it can be passive, it can be an active phrase, it can be a passive phrase, or maybe it's in the other way around. Okay. So then read the text once more to check the options you have chosen. Okay. So this one, so as you can see, it's a bit longer than PD3 based questions. Okay, so many more paragraphs, and then you need some time to read. Okay, you need some time to read. Okay, so you can see from question 19 to 26. So you have A, B, C, and D for you to choose from. Okay, A, B, C, and D for you to choose from. So if you notice, normally questions, comprehension questions here, they will not jump. Meaning, they will ask you the questions from paragraph 2 first, like question 19 in paragraph 2. then question 20 in paragraph 3, then question 21 you have in paragraph 4, then question 22 in paragraph 5. So it is in linear form. So they will never ask you anything from the last paragraph first. They won't say from paragraph 9 first, then they jump to paragraph 1. So it's quite simple for you to find the answers. Okay, so that is a rule of that is a rule when they have to prepare the questions, basically. So it will always go from paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or they jump paragraph 2, 4, 6, okay, maybe or paragraph 3, 7, 9. Okay, so and then the last question so far is quite similar in a lot of exercises you can find. Okay, so what is the purpose of the writer writing this article? So basically, they do ask this similar question in many books or many exercises that you have done. Okay, what is the reason the writer write this this essay, for example? What is the purpose of the writer writing this letter? Okay, so it's asking you on your opinion. Okay, and if you notice in question 26, most of the answers can fit to share, to recall, to look. So you have to choose the best answer, okay, the best answer that you can find from the text or that you can think is related to the text. Okay, all right. So this is part 3. Okay, part 4. So part 4 will be the tricky one, the gap text. Okay, the gap text. So you have a text with 6 gaps, okay, or 6 missing sentences. So there are 8 options given to you. Okay, so meaning you have 2 extra options here. So what do you have to do? First, you have to read through the gap text quickly to get a general idea of the structure and the purpose of the text. So like what we have done in the previous sections or so, the closed text and so on, just read through everything. So if you know the text is about pollution, then you have an idea it's on pollution. If the text is a story, then you know it is a story. At least you know what it is about. And then if you read through the text first, you can determine the tenses being used. Is it past tense? Is it present tense? Okay, so you will generally know the idea of what the text is about. Okay, then read the 8 option answers provided. Okay, you have the 8 option, the other 8 answers given. So read through. Okay, read through. Then when selecting an answer to answer option to fill the gap, read the sentence before and after each gap. Okay, so you have to find the keywords here. Okay, that tells you what is the one before, what is the one after, and something that comes in between should be the answer. Okay, fill in the easier ones first, then you can cross out the ones that are not relevant here. Okay, so there will always be 1 or 2 easier ones for you to identify. So do the easier ones first. Then read the passage again and then to see if it flows and makes sense. This is what you have to do all the time. You have to go through your answers again, okay, so that you will know if it is right or if it is wrong. Okay, so there are 2 extra answer options that should not be used. So these are called distractors here. Okay, so these are called the extra 2 answers. They are distractors. Okay, so the tricky part about gap text is if you have chosen the wrong answer, for a particular blank, so the other blank might be affected. Okay, might be affected. So this is the tricky part here. So many students, they might have problem with this. So the trick here is to read and reread again. Okay, read and reread again. And it's very important to look at the previous line and the next line. Okay, so this is what you have in a sample. So you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So you have 8 options given to you. Okay, then you have 27 to 32. So these are the empty blanks you have to put in. Okay. So, right. We move on to the last part, matching and the information transfer. So you might, the information might be given in forms of short text or other forms. Okay, so they might give you a whole page of different options. I mean, different parts from a telephone directory, for example, or maybe a menu. So questions may include completion of notes, diagrams, matching tasks, and short answer questions. So there are 8 questions. Okay. So strategies: first, read all the text. Okay. Then you read the rubrics and the questions. Okay, read the questions. Then look for cues or extra information provided. So you may need to compare various parts of the text to arrive at your answer. Okay, remember you have to match or write your answer as instructed in the rubrics. Okay, so you have here teens on community service. You have A to F here. So you have 6 people, so of different ages. So 6 different names here. So the thing about this question is, if you look at question 33 to 36, so which paragraph A to F? So it's asking you on the paragraphs here. So do not write out the person's name. Okay, you have to write the paragraph's alphabet. If it's paragraph A, write paragraph A. If it's paragraph B, write paragraph B. Okay, you don't have to write extra things also. There is no bonus mark given to you. Okay, so just make sure. If it's in different kinds of, for example, it may be an alphabet also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which paragraph. Okay, so you can write paragraph 1, 2, just write the number. Okay, and then here, from question 37 to 40. So this is quite important. You have to use only one word from the passage. So choose no more than one word. Okay, so sometimes I find good students, they are always very scared. Okay, they are very insecure. Sometimes they forget this part. They tend to put in more than one word because they are very insecure of the answers. Okay, but bear in mind, if you put more than one answer, it is wrong. Okay, it will be wrong. So it only takes one answer for this section. Okay, so 37 to 40. So there you go. You have 40 questions for paper 1, which is not very difficult actually. Okay, but you only have 1 hour 30 minutes. So which means you have to utilize your time very well. Okay, all right. So we're done with the reading paper. So let us go into the next paper, the writing paper. Okay. Okay, so writing paper. So again, it's 25% of your overall grades. So it's very similar to the reading paper, 25%. Okay, so you have 3 sections. You have 3 different kinds of essays that you have to write. Okay, then you have word limits for every test part. We're going to look at that later. Again, the duration is 1 hour 30 minutes. So if you want to divide this properly, manage the time properly, you can actually allocate 30 minutes for every essay. Okay, 30 minutes for every essay, or plus and minus. It depends on how you manage your writing. Okay, so 60 marks are available in the test. So across the 3 tasks, so using a 5-band scale. Okay, so instructions will be given, and then you have to answer in the question paper, right? So, okay, I don't have to tell you this, but generally you are here, okay? So being Form 5 SPM level, you are in the B1 level, B1 up to C1. So the very good ones, if you are able to write very well, if you're able to speak very well, if you're able to listen very well and read very well, you are in the C1. And some of you might even reach C2, okay? So generally B1, that's why if you have your Form 5 textbook, you have the Form 5 B1 plus, okay? That's why we name it as B1, okay? So you don't really need to know this, but the next, yeah, this one you have to know. Okay, so the SPM range will cover A2, then B1, then the B2 range. Okay, so you have 3 essays actually. You have the 3 tasks that you have to fulfill. So this one is task 1, basically the email. Okay, all the time it will be email. Okay, so then task 2 will be guided writing here. Okay, guided writing. So you may be asked to give your opinion on something, or maybe you want to share your experience on something. Then task 3, you'll be asked to write either a story, okay, maybe a report, maybe an article, and so on. So if you notice here, I think your teacher has mentioned this to you also, the grades. Okay, you'll be marked for the essay, 20 marks per essay. Okay, the thing is, your your standard should actually increase, which means if for your email, you are able to get 5555, it does not mean you are able to score 5555 for the second essay. It does not mean you are able to score 5555 for the third essay. Okay, in simpler words, it means if you retain your same level of English for email, okay, in writing email, and you are using the same level of English in writing the third essay, it might go lower. Okay, which means if this candidate uses the same level of English, 5555 for the first email, simple. For the second part, the second essay, he or she might just score 3333. Okay, and then for the third essay, he or she might score only 1111. Okay, so if in school, if your teacher marks your essay as 2222, you get 8 marks for the first email. Look at the second task here, which means the second task and third task will be 0000. It does not mean, teacher, I get 8 marks for my email, which means I should be getting also 8 marks here, 8 marks here. No. Okay? So as your teacher marks your essay, their level, the expectations will go higher, which means in the third task, in the second task, your level of vocabulary should actually elevate. Okay? Your level should change. The tenses, the language use should also increase. Okay? It should also be of higher standard here. Okay? So let us look at the writing tasks. Okay, so the first task is compulsory. Generally, every task is compulsory. Okay, so first task, you have to write an email to your friend in about 80 words. Okay, 80 words. So this is of A2 level. Okay, so part 2, you have to write an essay in about 150 words. Okay, so this is of B1 level. Then part 3, so this one you may have to write an article, a review, a report, or a story. Okay, so this will be 250 words. So this is of B2 level. So you can see the level here, the CFR level will increase from A2, it goes to B1, then it goes to B2. Then for better students, they go up to C1 here. Okay, C1 or C2. All right. So the number of words also increase. From 80 words, you have 150 words, then you have 250 words. Okay. So let me show you the example task. So the first email is quite simple. So you receive an email from your new friend, Amy, who has just moved to your hometown. So the school holiday is finally here. Let's go for a picnic with our friends. Where shall we go and what can we do there? What should we bring? So I'll be waiting for a reply. So this is a very simple form of email, okay? Later, I'm going to show you the answer, how you should actually answer this. Huh? Okay, then the second part, okay, so this is the second example task. So you have to write in about 125 words to 150 words in appropriate style. So if you notice, you can always see this appropriate style here. So later we are going to look into this. Okay, question, your class has been discussing how they spend their money on, and your teacher has asked you to write an essay about what you would spend your money on. So it's a very simple question here. Okay, very simple question here. So in your essay, you should write about, so what you would like to buy. So generally, if you can name something, an item that you want to buy, you're answering the first question. So reasons for your choice, where do you usually buy these things? Okay, so what do you buy, why do you buy, and where do you buy? So basically the WH questions here. Okay, but you have to write in 125 to 150 words. Okay, so third question is extended writing. Again, the marks will be the same, the weightage, 20 marks here. Okay, so there are a few example tasks. So the first one, you have articles. Okay, so there's an article here. So my school canteen. So question is, what other types of food would you like to be served? What special facilities should a canteen have? How can you improve your canteen? So write us an article answering these questions. So the best article will be displayed on the school magazine. So take into notice, take into consideration, this is an article here, okay? So article should have some kind of format, okay? So next one, question 4, you have reviews. So basically reviews, you have a few types of reviews. In Form 4, you have learned movie review. Okay, then actually you have other kinds of reviews. For example, you have places review. So if you have been to a chalet, for example, in Port Dickson, okay, if you have been to a place, maybe you have been to London. So a place, a review of a place. Or maybe if you go to a restaurant, you have food. You tasted some kind of very tasty dishes. So you want to give a review on that. Okay, and then also you have book reviews here. So have you watched any interesting movies lately? Send us your movie review. Say what you enjoyed about the movie. Would you recommend the movie to your friends and why? So the best reviews will be published in our in our newsletter. Okay, so reviews. Right. Next one, you have a story. Your teachers ask you to write a story for a school magazine. So the story must have the title. A dream comes true. So your story should include a description of the dream, how the dream is achieved, then you write a story. So basically these questions are quite simple, okay, quite simple. And then all these 3 questions will be in part 3. Okay, now let me bring you into the assessment scales here. How are your papers or how are your essays graded? Okay, so overall, when your teachers mark your essay, like what I mentioned to you, what I showed to you just now, what I've shown to you, you have the 5, 5, 5, 5, right? So everything will fall under this: communicative achievement, organization, language, and then content. So every essay will be marked based on these 4 aspects here. Okay, content, communicative achievement, organization, and language. Okay. Right, so this will be it. The first thing we're going to look at will be the content, okay? But it does not mean content is more important, okay? It does not mean content is more important because everything will give you 5 marks here. Every essay, 20 marks, but each of these will give you 5 marks, okay? Second one will be communicative achievement. So third one, organization. And then the last one will be language, okay? So which means every part is equally important here. Okay, so let me just bring you to the idea of the word communicative here. Okay, the word communicative. So put this in your mind. Later, I'll come back here. Okay, so content. So content basically refers to how well you fulfill the task. Okay, do you understand what the task is about? Okay, so basically, have you fulfilled the task? How much you answer the question. Okay, like the third point here. If you're asked to give some advice, you have to give some advice. Okay, so rather than asking advice. Okay, so it depends here. If you remember in question 2, there are a few things you have to answer. What would you buy? Why would you buy that? And then where would you buy that? So if you're only answering one of the points or one of the bullets, which means you have not fully answered the question. Okay, so if you have not answered fully, your marks can be reduced. Okay, because you have not fulfilled the question or the requirement of the task. And then also misinterpretation of the task requirements will also lead to low scores for content. So misinterpretation means you don't understand the question. Okay, you don't understand the question. So in a sense, if your friend is asking you to give suggestions to do something, you are asking for suggestions. So that is actually misinterpretation. Okay? So next one, if you fully answer the question, if you have 3 bullets, you can answer what do you want to buy. You can answer why you want to buy that thing. Then where would you buy that thing? You get the maximum of 5 marks here. Okay? If you don't answer one part of the question or include some irrelevant text, you get 3 or 4. Okay, you get 3 or 4. So what do I mean by irrelevant? Okay, irrelevant text here. Okay, let me bring you back to question 1. if you are writing an email to your friend, if you put in a lot of things you memorize, okay, this is the danger of memorization. Huh? In CFR, I can tell you a lot of things cannot be memorized, okay? So if you memorize essays from other sources, or if you go to tuition centers, your teacher gives you a lot of things that you dump into your essay, they can be called irrelevant, okay? They can be called irrelevant. For example, if the question asks you, okay, so email to your friend. For example, shall we go shopping this Saturday? Okay. I need your advice on what I should buy for my father on Father's Day. So your friend is asking you to accompany him to go to the mall or to go shopping this Saturday, and then asking you to give suggestions on what to buy. And then if your answer is, I don't think you have to buy anything for your dad, that is actually not answering the question. Because in the question, you have to suggest to your friend what to buy, and you have to accompany, okay? So, irrelevant. So if that happens, you will get 3 or 4, okay? So if you only answer a small part of the question, for example, if there are 3 bullets, you only answer 1, okay? So you will get 1 or 2 marks for content, okay? If you don't answer the question at all, you will get 0. So there is a danger here. Okay, if you get 0 for content, the other parts of the assessment, you will also be given 0. So meaning if content is 0, your CA and so on, let me bring it back to this slide. Okay, if your content is 0, your CA will be 0, your organization will be 0, then your language will be 0. Because why? You do not answer the question. Okay, so that will be how it is going to be graded. So first of all, content. You have to make sure you answer the question. Okay? So for example, okay, in this case, Amy, so here, the question is, where shall we go? What can we do? What should we bring? So it is always useful if you can highlight your words or highlight the phrases, highlight the questions, or you can underline the questions on what you have to answer. So there are 3 parts you have to answer here. Where shall we go? What can we do? What should we bring? Okay, so note it's about 80 words here. So why do I highlight the 80 words here? Because if you dump in a lot of things that are irrelevant, your essay will go out of topic. Okay, for example, if you're answering this question, hi Amy, so how was your exam last week? I heard you did very well. For me, the examination was very difficult. Do you remember that? Do you remember our friend who moved to Seremban last year? Okay, he called me last week and he told me that his goldfish died. If you put all these things in, your essay will be long. Yes, no doubt your essay will be very long, but this will make your essay irrelevant. Okay, the points are irrelevant. The question is quite simple: where to go, what to do, what should we bring? But if you're talking about other things, about goldfish, about the weather, okay, about food, you are not answering the question, okay? So, second one, the second question here. So, same thing, what you like to buy, reasons for your choice, and where do you usually buy these things, okay? Right, so these are the questions you have to answer to get marks for content. Again, 125 to 150 words here. Okay, let me bring your attention to this one also. Many students who actually memorize essays, okay, they love to put in phrases like, in this day and age, okay, for example, in this era of globalization, in this modernized era, teenagers have a lot of money, okay? Teenagers enjoy the money given by their parents or pocket money, and they love to spend money on whatever and so on. If you put that in, how do you think it sounds? It is not exactly wrong, but if I were to mark the essay, I would say the first part can be a bit irrelevant. Why are you talking about globalized era? Why are we talking about in this day and age? Okay, right. So you have to go very straight to the point, answer the question, okay, and then answer in about 125 to 150 words here. Okay, so next one, the communicative achievement. Remember, I told you, you put the word communicative in your mind first. So what is CA? Okay, we'll mark this as CA. So it is communication. So your essay is written to communicate with the reader, to communicate with your examiner, with your teacher here. So whether or not your essay can tell the examiner or your teacher or your friends, the readers here, the things that you are supposed to tell. So first of all, is the text the right type? If the question is asking you to write an article, are you writing an article here? Okay. So for example, if the question is a letter, not a letter, sorry, an article, then you say dear, okay, dear friend, dear friends. So it doesn't sound like an article here, okay? So in CFR, in this writing paper, there will be no marks given to you for format. Unlike the previous SPM, marks were given for format. But the thing is, this will fall under your CA, the format. Okay, if you're writing an article but it doesn't sound like an article, then the marks will become lower in CA here. Okay, so how intelligent are your ideas? Okay, how intelligent? Are you going straight to the point, or are you beating around the bush? Are you able to deliver your ideas in simple, short phrases, okay, or in simple ideas? Do you think people have to read between the lines to understand what you're trying to say? That is what we call by the intelligence of your ideas here. Okay, next one, do you hold your reader's attention? Are you able to explain your ideas clearly? Okay, so are you able to are you able to sustain the reader's attention? So, okay, meaning attention here will refer to even though you have errors, okay, but it still makes sense. So the reader can still understand. But if you bring in things that are irrelevant, okay, you put in a lot of things that you memorize. For example, if you have too many problems in your essay that is actually that are irrelevant, okay, which means the communicative achievement is actually low. Okay. So it also refers to the appropriateness of the writing given. Okay. For example, the genre and the register. Okay, so if you are listening very carefully, let me just tell you the register here. For example, if the question is an article written to the school, okay, written in the school magazine, okay, about the cleanliness of the school, maybe the toilets cleanliness, okay, the toilet conditions in your school. So if you tell your pengetur, you tell a principal, the principal should do this. The principal must make sure the toilets are clean. The principal must renovate the toilets. So the register is actually wrong. Okay, if you're writing to, for example, if you're writing to the mayor of town, okay, the mayor of your city, and you say, the mayor must do this. Okay, the mayor should do this. If this is the responsibility of the mayor, it doesn't sound correct. You cannot instruct people to do anything. Okay, so, and then this will sound quite rude also. So the register here is quite important. Whether or not you know who you are talking to, whether or not you know how to talk to the person. So it's either you talk to your friend. If in the email here, you're writing to your friend, it's very informal. It should be friendly. It sounds friendly. But if you're using very serious tone, if you're using very serious phrases, it doesn't sound that right also. Okay? And an email is supposed to be quite short. Okay? Quite straight to the point. So if you use a different genre or wrong genre, then the CA has actually gone down. Okay? So focus on the tone, appropriateness of the language. So for example, a message can be formal yet friendly, informal yet rude. Okay? So what does it mean by informal yet very rude here? Let me give you a simple example. So for example, if you're writing a letter, if you're writing an article to maybe a report, if you're writing a report to your pengetur, to your principal, dear principal, do you know that our school is very dirty? Do you know that pollution can kill students? Do you know that pollution will cause students to have breathing difficulties? First of all, it's really very rude. Okay, asking your pengetur in such a manner, using such kind of sentences. Okay, do you know that? Second thing, are you degrading? Are you actually undermining the intelligence of your pengetur? Who doesn't know pollution can kill? Who doesn't know pollution is dangerous and bad for health? Okay, so it will be same question like if you're writing an essay. In this 21st century, reading is very important. Reading is good for teenagers. Do you think that sentence is very intelligent? I wouldn't say it's very intelligent. Everyone knows reading is good for people. Okay, and everyone knows you need good food to have good health. Okay, so it depends on how you make a very intelligent statement here. Okay, so conventions of the communicative task covers things like genre, format, register, and function. So all these things fall under the communicative achievement here. Okay, so sentences that start with but will be more or less appropriate depending on the genre. If you're writing a story, if you're writing a narrative, you can use but in some circumstance. Okay, if you're writing a story, but if you're writing a report, it will not sound proper to begin with the word but and so. All right. Okay. So simple. If you use the correct text type, if you're able to explain your ideas clearly, so clearly means people don't have to go around, people don't have to read, and I mean, you don't beat around the bush and people don't have to go around town to understand what you're saying. Okay, very straightforward. But you're still able to use some complex and simple ideas, you get 5 for your CA. So which means your ideas, they have to be simple, but it can be complex also. You need to have a mixture for you to get 5. Okay, 5. So if you use the correct text type, you explain your ideas clearly, but only simple ideas, you will get a 3. So meaning if you're unable to use complex ideas, you only use simple ideas, it is a 3 here. Okay, so if you use more or less the correct text type or communicate simple ideas, you get 1. Okay, so if your ideas are very simple, your sentence types, your sentences are very simple, all simple sentences, you get 1 mark here. So if you want to score 5, you need to have a mixture of complex and simple ideas. Okay, use the correct text type, and then your ideas should be clear. Okay, so this is the conclusion of the CA. Yeah? All right. Okay, next, let us go into organization. So this part will be a bit longer here. Organization, so it covers a lot of things. So generally, organization, you will know that is actually how it is actually structured. How is your essay structured? From the very first view, you know it's actually paragraphing. Okay, it's actually paragraphing. So there are questions that may need paragraphing. There are questions that may not need paragraphing. For instance, your email. Email is not wrong if it's just 1 paragraph. It is not wrong. Okay. And for the second question, maybe you want to have more. You want to make sure it's very clear. You have clearly organized and structured your essay. You have the introduction, you have the body, then you have the conclusion. Okay. And then whereas when it comes to part 3, your essay will be much longer. You're writing up to 250 words here. So of course you will need a clear indication of your introduction, a clear indication of your paragraphing, and also conclusion. Okay, it will be very awkward if your whole essay is only written in 1 paragraph. Okay, so organization is generally how coherent a piece of writing is. Okay, how coherent, and then how the ideas have been linked. So you have a few things you have to understand here. So 2 things we're going to look at. One will be the linking words. Okay, linking words will be linkers, simple things. So ranging from the basic things such as and, but, okay? Then you have because, you have first of all, you have finally. Okay, so bear in mind, Malaysian students, they are quite good in using all these linkers, okay? All these sequence connectors, first of all, next, and so on. Okay, then finally. We are very good, okay? Then next, you have to focus on the cohesive devices. So this refers to the more sophisticated linking words and phrases. So you need to have higher level of linking words, for example, moreover, okay? So you have furthermore, so you have it may appear, it seems that, okay, due to this, as a result. So these are all higher level linking words here, cohesive devices, okay? So just bear in mind, if you use first, you use second, don't use third, don't use fourth, and so on. Why? Because this will give the idea to the examiner you have nothing else to use. Okay, you only use first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So that's everything you have. Okay, so it's quite dangerous. So you need to vary, you have to make sure you have more. Next one, paragraphing, like what I mentioned just now. Basically, paragraphings will help your essay to look more structured, more organized. Okay, then last one, your punctuation. Okay, punctuation, your full stop, your comma, then your capital letters, okay, then your upper cases, your lower cases. So for those who love to write I using a small I with dot on top here, be careful, okay, because you have to remember everything is actually punctuation. Your full stop, they should be very clear, okay, they should be very clear. And then it started last year. The examination scripts have been scanned, you know, right? I think you know, your seniors. The exam papers were actually scanned, and then examiners marked them online. So all the more you are supposed to make sure that your handwriting is clear. Your handwriting is very neat. So examiners can actually mark them easily, okay, because they have to look at the screen, they have to stare at the screen for a long time. And then in English, if your sentences have no full stop, no comma, they are actually wrong. Okay, they are actually wrong. You need all these things. Okay, next one, organization. So let me come from the bottom. So if your organization is one mark out of 5 marks here, the text is connected and coherent, meaning the text is connected. So even though your text is actually connected, it makes sense. It can be one. Okay, so basic linking words and limited number of cohesive devices. So you have basic linking words, you have limited number of cohesive devices. So example, if you use and, if you use but, if you use because, if you use first of all, this does not mean your essay can get a 5. The organization is 5, okay? This can also mean it's actually 1, okay? So simple sentences like this. So what is your favorite season and why? So this is the question. So first of all, I like summer because I can go to the beach and swim. I like going to the beach, but I don't like working on a sunny day. So you have, first of all, you have because, you have and, then you have but. Even though these are actually linkers, they are common linkers, but this only constitutes, this only gives you 1 for organization. It's not a 5. Okay, it's not a 5 here. Okay? So because they are quite simple. So as you answer your different essays from task 1 to task 2 to task 3, you have to make sure this organization is actually elevated also. Okay, it actually increases. The level should increase instead of maintain that. And next one. So if a student obtains 3 marks, okay, the text is generally well organized, okay, and coherent. Okay, uses a variety of linking words and cohesive devices. Okay, so you have higher linking words here. Okay, so uses a variety of linking words and cohesive devices here. So let me show you the few cohesive devices you can actually use. So you have higher level linking words and phrases. You have reference pronouns. You have substitution. You have ellipsis. You have repetition. So all these things are called cohesive devices. Okay, cohesive devices. So this, if you're able to use this, this will give you 3 marks for your organization. Example. So higher level linking words and phrases here. If you're able to use moreover, however, on the one hand, on the other hand, so furthermore, this will not give you 5 marks or so. This will give you about 3 marks, okay? 3 marks, maybe 2 or 3 or 4, it depends, okay? So these will be higher level words. Okay, also, if you can use reference pronouns, example. Okay, some weaker students will write, I like summer. I like summer because summer is my favorite season. So you can see that it is a weaker sentence because it doesn't refer, it doesn't use reference pronouns here. So if you're able to write, it is, I like summer, it's my favorite season, so it's a reference pronoun. I live in Paris, which is the capital city of France. So which is refers to Paris. Instead of saying I live in Paris, full stop, Paris is the capital city of France. So this will give you better marks for cohesive devices, for organization, okay? Right. So smartphones help with communication, and this is why they are popular, okay? This is why. Okay, so weaker ones here, you have sentences like this. Okay, next one, substitution. So weaker students, they might use I go swimming in summer and my friends go swimming as well. You can see the repetition here. I go swimming in summer. My friends go swimming as well. Okay, so better ones, I go swimming in summer, my friends do as well. Okay, so meaning as you want to get higher marks, better marks for organization, you have to improvise, you have to improve in the usage of your cohesive devices. So things like this will be cohesive devices also, not just the furthermore and so on, so on. Okay, so substitution is also a form of cohesive device. The next one, you have ellipsis. So you can omit or leave out words that are not necessary in a sentence. For example, I usually travel around my city by bus, but I sometimes travel around my city by metro. Okay, so if you put it into a shorter form, I usually travel around my city by bus, but sometimes by metro. Okay, so you take out the I, you take out the travel around my city by metro. So this will make your sentence shorter, but you have the obvious, you have the very clear use of ellipsis here. Okay, so meaning if you are good, if you can write sentences like this, so this will be a clear indication that you are not in the lower bands. Okay, so you won't get 1 or 2, you will get 3, maybe you get 4. Okay, and the last one, you have repetition. So sometimes repetition is good, sometimes repetition is not good. Okay, for example, John is a tennis player. He likes training, he likes playing, and he likes winning. So you can shorten it, for example. John is a tennis player, he likes training, playing, and winning. This is not wrong, okay? But sometimes if you are writing an essay, okay, if you're writing an essay, you will keep the first one because this one is to create emphasis here, okay? For example, if you're writing an essay that a narrative here, I walked into the house, okay, it was very dark. My heart was thumping against my chest, for example. I was frozen, I was rooted to the ground. You repeat the I was speechless. So this I was being repeated 3 times is not to show that you are weak, it's to show the emphasis here, which can be used, which can be good, okay, which can help you to score marks in your cohesive devices also. Okay, right. I see one comment here. That's a capital I that looks like small I accepted. Okay, so capital I. So like what I mentioned just now, when you're writing about yourself, the I, you have to use capital big I. Okay, so always, okay, so just remember, always be proud of yourself, I. Okay, no matter where it is in your exam, that is part of punctuation. I must be capitalized I. Okay, so it must be an uppercase I there. Okay, so if you want to get 5 for organization, the text should be well organized, so well coherent. Okay, so using a variety of cohesive devices and organizational patterns to generally good effect. So you have to have a lot. Okay, so basically a lot here. So meaning, for example, this is one cohesive device. One reason I like my smartphone. Okay, so instead of saying first, I like my smartphone, so you can change to the first reason I like my smartphone is. Okay, so there will be a cohesive device to help you also. Okay, so instead of saying secondly, you say the next, or the second reason why, or the second advantage is what. So that will be a good one. Okay, so another advantage of my smartphone is. Okay, then but I really love my smartphone because, okay, right. So you have all these phrases here, all these sentences here, so that will become better cohesive devices to connect sentences. All right. So instead of you using first, second, third, and fourth, you have to change. Okay, you have to change. And then just one something to share with you. If you are writing a story, then you want to put cohesive device here. Okay, last Sunday I went somewhere. Okay, I bought a lot of food and so on. Then next, I went somewhere. Okay, sometimes the word next here, it depends on what you're talking about. If it's not a process and procedures, don't use next. If you're not repairing a bicycle, don't use next. If you're not baking a cake, okay? So you can use other things like after I bought the things from the market. It is longer cohesive device here. So as I walk out from the store, I went into the mall, for example. Okay, right. So next one. Okay, so you have phrases like this. So after the man finished the work, for example, so this is actually part of cohesive devices also. Before I started my routine, in order for all that to happen. Okay, so all these things are cohesive devices. So since I was unable to help him, I had to let him go. So all these parts are actually cohesive devices. So let me just tell you, you have to practice. You cannot tell the teacher, give me all the lists for cohesive devices. Give me all the lists for linkers. Because if you don't use them correctly, it will sound wrong. If you dump everything into your essay will sound very heavy. It will sound very unnatural here. If your essay is full of cohesive devices, you have to know how you actually make it sound natural. Okay, then only it will be okay. Okay, then only it will be okay. So, and then you cannot memorize cohesive devices. How do you improve this? Read a lot, write a lot, and from your writing, improvise. Okay, later I will show you how. So to make matters worse, not wanting to give up, he, and so on. So all these are examples of cohesive devices. So far we have covered 3, okay, 3 out of 4. So we have covered the first one, content. We have covered the communication, the communicative achievement. Then we have covered the organization. So 5 marks, 5 marks, 5 marks here. And last one, we go into language. Okay, so language generally, it will show how good your grammar and your vocab, okay, are. Okay, so of course this will fall on. I mean, this is where your grammar and your vocab fall into. Okay, so are you able to be consistent in writing the tenses, in using the correct tense? If you're writing a narrative, are you using past tense? Okay, so if you're using past tense, are you consistent? Okay, then the vocab, are they thematic or not? For example, if you're writing about going on a picnic, are you giving words related to the picnic? Okay, if you're writing something to do with cell phone, with mobile phones, are you giving words to do with social media? For example, telecommunication, for example, charging, notification. Okay, do you have all these words to do with mobile phones? Okay, so if you use a range of vocabulary and grammar accurately, so the keyword here is accurately. There are times when students, they dump in some words. They memorize big words, bombastic words, but somehow they are not correctly used. So these will cause your marks to be reduced. Okay, so if you can use grammar and vocab accurately, then you have high-level words and complex grammatical forms. You have 5 marks for language, which is very good. Okay, so meaning if your verbs, if your vocab and everything is correct, your tenses are correct, you know how to use prepositions correctly, you know how to use your phrasal verbs correctly, then you can get 5. Okay, so if you use a range of both everyday vocab and simple complex grammatical forms, you get a 3. Okay, so everyday vocab, so some things in common, but they are not so accurate, they are not so thematic. For example, if you are talking about education, you are talking about academics here, okay, lessons, but somehow you put in words that are not accurate, not relevant, so you may get a 3. Okay, so if you use everyday words and simple grammar without making too many mistakes, you get 1. So look at the last line here. Without making too many mistakes, you get a 1. So meaning, even if your essay is almost 70% correct, 60% correct, you can still get 1. Okay, so what do you think of the scoring actually? The 4 things, the content, the CA, the organization, and language. Do you think it's very lenient? It sounds lenient, okay? It sounds lenient. But the thing is, you have to make sure that you are able to be consistent, okay? Then your tasks will actually elevate from task 1 to task 2 and task 3, okay? Okay, So if the mistakes in the grammar and vocab are so bad that the reader can't understand your text, you get a 0 for language. So of course, this will include the use of foreign languages. Okay, so bear in mind, if you use Bahasa Melayu, even though we are in Malaysia, Bahasa Melayu, if it comes to English, is actually called Bahasa Asing. Okay, so when we see traces of other languages, okay, Chinese words or Malay words, it's actually foreign language when it comes into English. Okay, when it comes into examination. So, and then we cannot, okay, as Malaysians here, as Malaysian examiners, we cannot read because we understand BM. Imagine if essays are being marked by foreigners, by British examiners, by Cambridge examiners, they don't understand Malay. So to them, they cannot understand your text. So you will get a 0, okay? So what happens sometimes, students, they try their luck. They write some words in BM, hoping examiners can give them the marks. But that is not the case. We have to read with the British mind, for example, okay? We have to read as if we cannot understand other languages. So this is where marks will be, your grades will be, your essay will be penalized here, okay? So basic vocab, you have everyday vocab, you have slip, okay. So you have slips here. If your slips will be the accidental or incidental errors that do not actually affect your meaning, it's okay, okay? We can still mark as normal. But if your essay is actually, it changes the meaning, if your structure, if your vocab, it changes the meaning, your tenses affects the meaning, then grades will be lowered. Huh? Okay. Okay, other things to consider here, there may be some questions you want to know. Okay, let me see the questions here. Uppercase I that looks like lowercase l. Okay, can you use that? Yeah, you can use that. Okay, but if I were you, I can just put in the double slash on top. Okay, so meaning I will just use the I like with the top and the bottom. So what counts as high-level words and complex grammatical forms? So high-level words, okay, bear in mind, if you learn high-level words, don't memorize everything, don't dump everything. If the words you use are related, for example, if you're talking about technology, you're able to use you're able to use words like modernization, you're able to use words such as mechanism and so on, and they are correctly used, then it's correct, okay? So high-level words and complex grammatical forms, it does not necessarily mean you use very, very high and changgih words, no, okay? It means you have to be able to use the accurate usage. For example, let me give an example here. Okay, say if you were to talk about feelings here, happiness. So simple level will be happy. So if you want to go higher, you can go a lower level. You can say, I'm very pleased. Okay, the lower level of happiness, I'm just pleased. Then you can have overjoyed. Then you can have exhilarated. You can have exuberant. So these are higher level words, but they are still in the theme here of happiness. So which means you need to know the different kinds of words to use. Okay, so meaning you have to use a lot of thesaurus actually, thesaurus. Okay. Next one, whether vocabulary errors affect overall mark of the paragraph. Okay, if your vocabulary errors are quite minimal, they do not affect the meaning, it's still okay. If examiner can still understand what you are trying to say, maybe it can be forgiven. It depends on the examiners. You have to remember, examiners are humans, people. Okay, and then when they mark essays, they will be marking essays all throughout, 24/7. Okay, maybe they sleep very little. And sometimes if they are in good mood, then you're lucky. Okay, so if the vocabulary is totally wrong, it affects the meaning of the sentence, then it will be wrong. Okay, wait, one more thing. So high-level words are the same as bombastic words. High-level words, bombastic words, you can say that, sophisticated words, but they have to be thematic, meaning they have to be relevant. Then only is considered accurate. Okay? I and L is different. Why are you so obsessed with I and L? Okay, I and L. I think I understand why you say that I as in no dot on top. Okay? L is totally different, right? L, you have this angular L to the right. Okay. Right. How many words again in essay part writing 2? Okay, part 2. All right, so you have 150 words, right? So second part will be 150 words. Okay, so here, this is what I mentioned to you just now. You may score high marks on one criterion, but low marks on another criterion. For example, your content may be totally relevant. Okay, you are able to give very good ideas. Okay, and the content is relevant to the essay, the question. So you can get 5 there. Okay, but if the language affects and everything, you may get lower marks there. Okay, you may get lower marks in your language, for example. And then also if the tone is wrong, the tone, the genre maybe, or maybe the what do you call that? The register is wrong. It sounds a bit rude. So examiner may penalize a little bit. Okay. Next one, over length, underline script. So some of you may ask, teacher, okay, maximum is 250 words. If I want to write up to 1,000 words, can or not? If you're able to write up to 1,000 words in 1 hour and 30 minutes, okay, then you have the consistency, then you have the language, you have the time, no problem. Okay, it is not a criterion. So if your essay is too short and too long, by right examiners cannot penalize you, but under one condition. If your essay is too short, there is nothing to mark, okay, which means there is no content. So very naturally, marks might go lower, okay? And then if it's too long, you may have more errors when it comes to grammar. You may have a lot of errors when it comes to relevance. Some people, they love to go and memorize essays, which is actually very dangerous, okay? I prefer if my students don't memorize essays. Because if you memorize, you are putting all these things like in this era of globalization, which I do not really like, okay? If you talk about studies, also in this era of globalization. If you talk about food, also in this era of globalization. If you talk about prime ministers, also era of globalization. What is the relevance to that? Talk about sports, also era of globalization. So when these things come in, they are no longer relevant, okay? So you have to look at the relevance of your essay. If you want to make your essay very panjang, if you want to sort of impress your examiner, it is not through. It is not through the length of the essay. Let me just tell you one thing. There are times when very good students, they are able to write simple essays, maybe 4 or 5 paragraphs, not too long, about 200 words, but everything is covered and very good, okay? And it's very good. That will be the good thing. Okay, meaning ability to sustain, to control your essay within the length. That is actually good. Okay, right. So overlength script may cause irrelevance. Okay, underlength, right. Underlength script may not exhibit adequate range of language. Okay, and last one is quite important here. Okay, quite important here. Lifting. Lifting is copying the question. So if you look at the second question, let me just bring you back to the second question now. It will take a few backs to go back. Okay, never mind. I'll show this to you later. Okay, so lifting here. So lifting, candidates are not, by right, candidates are not supposed to be given credits if you copy. If you copy the soalan, if you copy some parts of the questions, that is not your ability. That does not show you are able to write, okay? So do not lift, okay? And then also lifting may provide negative evidence about the candidate's abilities. So if you lift, even though you are very good, this may show the examiner, oh, this candidate is quite weak, nothing much to write. Okay, let me show you the first one here, okay? So what I mean by lifting is this. The first question, if your answer is, hi, Amy, the school holiday is here. I'm so glad, let's go for a picnic with our friends. If you are copying, if you are rephrasing the whole thing, using the idea given in the question, is actually not good, not advisable, okay? So by right, you are supposed to answer the question using your own ideas, all right? So let me show you the sample answer here. Okay, so hi, you have 2, then you have subject. Why is this 2 and why is subject here? So this will be given to you in your answer paper for sure. Do you have to write this in? If you say, teacher, I forgot to write email. By right, at this age, you are 17, you should know how an email looks like. Okay, you have the ad, you have the gmail.com or whatever, hotmail.com, then you have a subject here. So now, is this relevant? Do you need to have this? If the question, if the answer gives you this, of course, you have to fill in. If no, my advice is to put in. Why? Because if you remember communicative achievement, if you go back to the register, if it's an email, it should sound like an email. So an email will have this. Okay, an email will have this. So, hi, Amy. I'm so glad that you have brought this up, as I had nothing planned for the holidays. I'm totally excited, and I know just a place for a picnic. It will be at City Park, just next to the newly opened shopping mall in town. So if you notice, it's actually answering. Okay, so where shall we go? City Park. So we could also skate there, as the park is huge. So skate will be the activity. What can we do there? Okay, so basically answering 2 questions. Don't forget to bring extra mat to place our foods, just in case our food's on, just in case I lost mine. So the thing to bring. So basically in this very short reply here, this candidate has answered the question on where to go, okay, what to do and what to bring. Okay, don't worry about supplies. I can handle them, though you could bring some snacks if you would like to. The more, the better. I was also thinking we could have Johan and Andrews come. It will be more fun with them around. All right, do update me if something comes up. Okay, so what do you think of this email? Do you think it's good? So, okay, so if you notice, this candidate has answered everything, the 3 questions. Okay, the 3 questions. And then also, she puts in, or she or he puts in something extra, like bring your friends along. But somehow this is relevant to the context. So this is not wrong, okay? But if you're talking about something else irrelevant to the question, that will be irrelevant. Okay, marks can be lowered because of that. But in this case here, yes, Johan Andrews, they come, they join us for picnic, so it'll be fun to have them around. And then you don't have to sign out if it's an email, no problem with this. Okay, so for this, as for this email, for the C content, this can receive 5, okay? CA also 5. Then the organization also 5, and the language also 5, okay? So this can get 20 marks for the first task, okay? 20 marks for the first task. All right. Wait, let me read the. I have seen a lot of amusing comments around. Okay, so I have to filter a bit. Okay, can we use short form like it's okay? Okay, this is good. A good question here. The contraction. I'll come back to that later, okay? Or I can talk about it now. Right, okay. So Moaz, you have this question. Can we use contractions here, the short form, it's, I am, and so on? So it depends on your answer. Okay, it depends on the register here. If you're writing to your friend, like in this email here, definitely you can, because it's informal. Okay, it's informal. You can use it's, you can use I am. But if you're writing an article for a school magazine, if you're writing a report, you will not write you are, you won't use they are, okay, you won't use contractions. So it depends on the genre of the essay, okay? Right, okay, anything else? Okay, gonna, wanna, of course is wrong. Okay, gonna, wanna, there will be too informal. Okay, too informal. Hi, Kuhen, okay? Right, so friendly sentences for a communicative thing like I hope you are doing well. Okay, yes. Okay, so if you're writing an email to your friend, you have to sound formal. You have to sound informal. You have to sound natural here. Sound friendly. I hope you are doing fine. Okay. Then, and the thing is, if you're writing to your friend and you're using phrases that are actually too formal, it sounds wrong. For example, dear Amy. Okay. What's a very formal thing? Huh? How has life been treating you? Okay, that would sound a bit too formal here. Because you're writing an email, it should sound very natural. It should sound very straightforward here. Okay. Wait, okay, so you have gonna, wanna. That is actually a very, that's actually slang. You can use that when you're talking, but when it comes to writing, don't use gonna, wanna, okay? Your examiners will definitely underline them, okay? So slangs be used. What kind of slangs do you want to use? You have to understand examiners. They are way older than you, okay? So if you're using slangs that they don't understand, so it will be a bit problematic if you use slangs they cannot understand, okay? So no, okay, so no. So for the essay part, can I write 3 paragraphs instead of 4? Generally, a normal essay will have about 3, 4, 5 paragraphs. They are not wrong, okay, if you have 3, 4, 5 paragraphs. So if it's 3 paragraphs, it's not wrong, okay? Right. The use of proverbs. Okay, use of proverbs will add more marks to your essay. Okay, if you notice later as I go on, you will see the sample answers I'm giving you, they don't really have use of proverbs, okay? So they don't really use proverbs, no, not much of these quotes, okay? Because like in your essay here, for example, if you're writing to your friend an email, would you use proverb here? Dear Amy, I hope you can wake up because an early bird catches the worm. Okay, let us bring some supplies. Let me bring some plasters and first aid kit because you know prevention is better than cure. Will this sound very natural if you're writing to your friend? If I were the friend if I were reading this email, I'll be saying, "What is wrong with you? Why are you telling me all these things?" Okay, so same thing also if you're writing an email to your friend, dear Amy, I hope life is treating you well. And then I hope you are as radiant as the sun glowing in the eastern sky. That is very exaggerated. Okay, very exaggerated. So it doesn't sound natural here. Okay, and then we have to remember not to, other kinds of proverb. For example, do not burn midnight oil. Okay, it will make your email sound very odd, very strange here, because is that how you talk to your friend? If you go overseas, if you see Americans or if you see Europeans next time, then if you talk to them, hello, how are you? You are shining and you are radiant like the sun in the eastern sky. They will look at you, what is wrong with you? Okay? Because people don't talk like that. Email should sound natural. So that's why I won't advise my students to dump in a lot of proverbs unless you are giving advice. Okay? Unless the story is about giving advice, then you have something to advise using that particular proverb. Yes, maybe you put 1 or 2. But if you want to flood your essays with proverbs and idioms, I won't advise that. Okay? So informal words are not acceptable. Informal words such as, if it's jargons or slangs, the words like if it's like XOXO, no, those are not words here. Okay, words like I'm very stoned. Okay, it doesn't make sense here. Okay, it doesn't make sense. I'm very stoned. I'm membatu. No. Okay, so, and then things like if it's not English, if it's not standard English, then it shouldn't be in your essay. Okay, that's how I can advise you. Even though this is an email, even though you're writing to your friends, but you want to dump in a lot of informal things. Okay, but I want to remember our game Gugu Lala last time. It doesn't make sense. Okay, maybe to you and your friend you know what it means, but to the examiner will underline what is this. Okay, so no. Okay, can we use cause or only because? Cause, it sounds very, it depends. The causes of things, yes, but because will be the reason. If you're writing something formal, of course you have to use because. And even if you're writing your email here, you have to write because. Okay, because you are using standard English here. Okay, standard English in writing, even though it's an email. Okay. Right. Where? Next one. Wait. So informal letters just use very smooth chatting words rather than high class words. Okay. Right. In your informal letter, emails, and so on, you can use very natural, very friendly words. But if you want to refer to something, if you are having a discussion on certain topics, and if the topics require formal words or bigger words, you can use them. Okay, you can use them. Okay, does every essay need to sound very natural? It depends on the genre. If you're writing a report to the police, so the report to the police, the format, the genre it should be formal. You will not be asking the police, "Dear sir, how are you?" That will sound very odd. Okay, so it depends. So in this case, if you're writing to your friend, it has to sound formal, sound friendly, sound natural. Okay, if you're writing a reflective, if you are given ₦1,000,000, what would you do with the money? Then you can sound a bit relaxed also. Okay, semi-formal, no problem. Okay, the next one, you have to get into character. You don't have to act. Do we need to write address? Okay, so far, there will be no questions. Okay, I cannot say anything yet, but so far there are no questions on formal, informal letter. Okay, right. Okay, so far, because you know why? Because the Cambridge people says letters are actually outdated. That's how, because now that's why we have emails nowadays. That's why we have the SMS texts and so on. Okay, Madam Vitia, if students write more than 80 words, you don't penalize them. Just mark as normal. Okay, just mark as normal. Because length is not a criterion here. Narrative essays, please. Yes, no problem. Yes, in download textbook, no address is written. Because you see, if we go to different countries, in Malaysia, we have the standard form of essay. We have informal letter with addresses. If you go to Singapore, another form of addresses. If you go to other countries, some countries they have addresses, some countries they don't have addresses. So in this case here, that's why nowadays they have email. Okay, it makes life much easier. Format in case report. Okay, email subject counted as one word. Okay, in English, every word is counted one by one. Okay, every word is counted one by one. Okay, right. Let me go on. Okay. So second one. So second part, you have what you like to buy and so on. So let me give you the sample here. So we all need money in order to buy something that we like. Nothing is free in this world. Therefore, when we have money, we need to use it wisely. If it is spent on things we don't need, we will waste money. So you can see here in this first paragraph, you have the cohesive device. Therefore, okay, then we don't need money, because the second essay is somehow reflective. Okay, so the tone can be semi-formal. Okay, you can use contractions here. Same thing like your email, you can use this. Okay, but of course you have to understand. Okay, so if it's if the essay, the requirement is very formal, it has to be formal. If it's semi-formal here, you look at the question. Okay, so it refers to you. In CFR nowadays, is very much related to you as a student. Okay, you as teenagers here. So that's why it is not wrong if you want to be informal here, but not totally informal. The tone is still proper. It's just that the language is a bit informal, relaxed here. Okay. So as for me, if I have money, I would like to buy a guitar. So this one is answering on what he or she would like to buy. So this is answering the first point already. So the reason I want to buy, so this one is answering the second one. It's because I love music. Okay. So moreover, you have this way, you have the cohesive device. Moreover, in that way, then I usually buy my instruments at this shop. Sorry, this typing error here. This shop called Yamaha. So where you buy this. So the reason they have good quality instruments, so the items are rather expensive. However, so you have however again, So you have 4 paragraphs plus the last paragraph here in a nutshell. So this is a very clear indication of an ending. Okay, so of an ending. So you can, so you have 5 paragraphs here. It actually answers the number of words. So it's actually awarded 5 for all the 5 criteria, the content, okay, then the CA, then the organization and language. Okay, so 5. Okay, next one. Okay, so next one. So it's an article. So what other types of food would you like to be served? What other special facilities should a canteen have? How can you improve your canteen? Okay, I'll let you read this. Okay, so instead of quarreling on the screen, I want you to read this for a while. Okay. So you have My School Canteen written by Sarah. So you see My School Canteen title written by Sarah. So this one, even though there is no mark, there are no marks awarded for format in CFR, but this one is the correct register here, the correct register that falls under the communicative achievement. So this is what it means by, what I meant by when you are writing an article, it should sound like an article. When you're writing a report, it should sound like a report. So this is an article here. Okay, in this era or globalization, okay, so something wrong here. Every school has their own canteen. So you see some minor errors here. I'm not sure about how other schools' canteens are, but I believe they have their own specialties. For example, the food they serve, the cleanliness, the facilities, and many more. Today, I'm going to talk about how my school canteen should improve. Okay, right. What do you think of the first paragraph here? So first paragraph here, okay, for me, I don't really like this. Every school has their own canteen. And it doesn't happen just because of globalization. I think before globalization, schools had canteens. So it doesn't make sense here, okay? So I'm not sure about how the school canteens are, but I believe they have their own specialties, maybe. For example, the food they serve and so on, okay? So today I'm going to talk about, this one sounds a bit weird here. I'm going to talk about, it sounds like a speech. Do you agree? So it doesn't sound much like an article here. Okay, next one. I've seen canteens at other countries' schools. You have error here again. And there are some much better than ours here in Malaysia. Hello, people. So if you were a reader, if you were an examiner here, if you were a Malaysian, how would you feel? So be careful when you're writing things. If you're generalizing, okay, it's very dangerous because I've seen essays before where students wrote, Malaysian teachers are lazy as compared to teachers from Singapore. And you have to remember the people marking your essays in SPM are teachers, Malaysian teachers, okay? And then I have seen sentences like, many lady drivers are bad drivers. That is generalization. Do not use this in your writing. Be careful, okay? So here also, you cannot degrade your own country, okay? If I were an examiner here, if I was someone who, okay, if I'm someone who loved my country so much and if I see this sentence here, this will create a very bad impression, okay? So do not degrade, do not be racist, do not be politically biased, do not be religiously biased in your essays, okay? So my canteen serves food that makes people full, like nasi goreng, nasi lemak, and kway teow. However, these foods are very oily and they make students sleepy, okay, after recess. So this is also a generalization here. So you might want to add something in. For example, they tend to make some students sleepy after recess, or some students claim, okay, they get sleepy after eating this food, okay? So because of that, I want my school to start serving healthy food. So if you look at this sentence here, I want my school must know. So these are actually very demanding sentences. So in the register here is actually wrong. Okay, in the register is actually wrong. So for this part, the CA, the communicative achievement, can go down, okay, to at least 3 marks. because it's actually quite rude here. My school should, my school must. Okay, so same thing like if you're writing a letter to your pengetua. Dear principal, you must make sure. Questions like, dear principal, do you know that? Okay, students are very tired because of long hours in front of computers. Do you know that we get very tired because our data is utilized all the time? We should, you must. Wrong register. You cannot instruct your examiners. All right? Okay, so example. Okay, reviews here. Okay, so you have a story. Let me show you, okay, a story. So I won't show you the example. There is no example to show. So first of all, for part 3, please make sure you write and you practice all these genres. Article, report, review, and story. For article here, so let me tell you, article, the purpose is to inform, to persuade, to give advice, to give suggestions, to give your views, to give your opinions, and so on. So basically, article is quite formal, but there will be some articles that will be quite informal also, but it's not totally informal. We call it semi-formal, okay? Semi-formal. Okay, so the register used in article, meaning the language used, it can be formal, then it can be quite informal also. Okay, it depends. If you're writing an article to the National Geographic, if you're writing an article to the Reader's Digest, of course it has to be formal. But if you're writing an article for your friends in school, so they can be informal. But informal doesn't mean rude, doesn't mean hurtful, okay? Doesn't mean degrading and so on. Okay. Okay, he told me you asked, I think that is the safest. I can't get you, but I'll come back to it later, right? So using this course, Marcus, so you have all this linking. I mentioned this already. All these cohesive devices, you use this, but do not overuse. Don't overuse. Let me show you one sample. I'll skip all this. Your teachers in school can cover this. Okay, so this is from a very good book, okay? From a very good book from other countries. So you can see the article here, A Problem Called Tourism. So you can see the title is very catchy, but there is no writer's name. You might want to add that in. So if you want to start an article here, when was the last time you traveled abroad? Did you follow the rules of the place and respect the environment? If you didn't, then you ought to give it some thought. So writing an article, you can post some questions here, but don't post too many questions. And you have to post intelligent questions. Do not post silly questions. My meaning, when I mean silly questions, questions like, do you know what is pollution? Do you know pollution is bad for the world? Hello, even a small child knows that, right? You don't have to ask questions like that. So questions that can trigger people to think, okay? So these will be rhetoric questions here. So recently, you can see, this is a time linker here recently, there has been a great increase in the tourist industry, so which has led to various environmental and social problems in large number of countries. So which has led. So you can see this is a good sentence, okay, the reference pronoun here. So it has been argued that, so this is also a good cohesive device here. The tourist industry is one of the largest in the world, yielding a profit that is often enough to support the whole country's economy. So yielding here refers, okay, again, it refers to the previous statement. So furthermore, then which is the reason for? So you can see this essay uses very smart cohesive devices, okay, very good linkers here. On the other hand, to show contrast, okay, tourists seem to spoil the beauty of the sites. Okay, then besides, and then it ends with a question here. You don't want people to think we don't care about the environment, do you? So you can see that the use of don't here in these two paragraphs, okay? So first and the last, when asking questions. This is what we meant by when you are informal, when you are more relaxed, semi-formal. When it comes to asking questions, you can use contractions, didn't, don't, and so on. But when you are giving information in between here, if you want to stay formal, you can. So generally this is a very good title. So very well put essay. Okay, very well put essay. Okay, then, yeah. So this one's good example here. Okay, and then for report, there are many kinds of report. Okay, so report you can structure into this way. Introduction, so facilities, for example, just example to you, intro, you have different paragraphs, teaching methods, resources, recommendations. So you have all this organized under different headings. So maybe in a question is asking on the facilities, the teaching methods, resource recommendations. So if you want to branch it out into this way, it is not wrong. Okay. Now, let me show you this one. This is the common Malaysian report, the one we have. Okay, so you have the to, title, from. So again, in the previous years, you have marks for the format, but not for this year, not starting this year. But still, it has to look like a report. It still has to look like a report. Okay, so this is what I meant by using correct words. So this one is a report to determine the causes of traffic congestion. So you have words such as committee. You have related words here, haphazard, how they park the cars, hindered, okay, obstructed, ignore requests. So you will use words, vocab that is actually relevant. So they are thematic. So school authorities should address this problem. So this will be addressing, so this will be the words relevant to the question here. And then let us look at the linkers, causative devices. You have firstly, to make it worse, okay, simple ones like and, in addition, as such, most importantly, for instance. So if you want to tambah, if you want to add, you can have in order for the schools to address this problem as such. So meaning, how do you want to improve the use of cohesive devices? So after you have written your essay, always read through again and again and see where you can add in, okay? So where you can add in, for example here, if you don't have cohesive device, it's correct. The shelter outside the school was inadequate. So you can add in, so in addition, okay? Or to highlight on the matter, okay? Or first of all, okay, the main thing to address is the shelter outside. So there will be many cohesive devices you can add in. So as you go through essay, read and reread, then you will know, okay? So review. So review here, okay, I think the teacher will tell you, so you have this in a textbook also. Okay, for review, one very important thing, do not give narration. Do not tell the story, okay? Don't retell what's happening in the beginning until the end, okay? You only mention the important, memorable characters, okay? Don't describe them too much, just a bit, okay? But use interesting vocab, okay? One very important thing, don't be a spoiler, don't give away the ending, okay? For sample here, okay, this is a good, I won't show you the good one. I'll show you this one. This is a review I've taken from the internet. So the Queen's Gambit, so some of you may have watched this already. So you can see it's quite long, 7-episode American drama miniseries based on a novel and so on. So you have Elizabeth Harmon, a chess player who struggles with drugs and alcohol addiction. So this is a giveaway here. Okay, it's a giveaway here. In a sense, you know, okay? So Elizabeth's friend and this one. So whom Elizabeth competed and won against chess tournaments. It's a bit too much detail here, TMI here, too much info. Okay, so the whole chronology is that the father and mother died in a crash. So she became an orphan. She was taken to the orphanage and so on and so on. The whole essay is very long. Okay, so in your movie review, you are reviewing to people, you want people to watch. So you shouldn't be giving out, you shouldn't be giving out the details. You shouldn't be a spoiler or so. You can talk a bit about the introduction, but very importantly, you give your recommendation. Like this one. This is a book. The Kite Runner is a beautifully narrated tale. The writing is just as simple as it is heartbreaking. The characters realistically portrayed. So I would definitely recommend this book to those who enjoy a character-driven stories set in troubled times. Okay, so we have 171 books, a bit short, but you don't see many cohesive devices here. Okay, so if I want to improvise, of course, we have places to put in cohesive devices here. For example, on one hand, this book made me realize how precious life. On the other hand, it taught me. Okay, so all in all, in conclusion, to put it all into, to sum it all up, the Kite Runner is a beautifully narrated this tale. So you can put in a lot of words, a lot of phrases here, the cohesive devices to improvise this essay. Okay. Okay, story. This is a good one. Okay, this one's taken from a book many, many years ago before you were born. Okay, so you can see a good narrative. So I'll let you read very quickly. You have only about 7 minutes to go. You have been bickering for 2 hours. The question for part 3 can be one of the genre. They will give 2, you can choose. No, you will be given 3. Okay, so for part 3, you will be given 3 questions. So you have to choose 1. Can culture and religion be included in the verse? If you are very intelligent, you have a very smart way of putting it in, no problem. Okay, but if you're very biased and if you can be very hurtful, so don't. Okay, so my advice is don't, because you never know who is going to mark your essay. Even sexist also. Okay, be careful. For example, man teachers are always very lazy. How can you say that? Okay, right. Does being a spoiler deduct our marks? Deduction of marks, it depends. If you are narrating, the keyword I used just now, if you are telling the story, if you are telling from the very beginning, in the beginning this happened, next this happened, next this happened, in the end he died, that is not giving a review. That will mean you have not fulfilled the task. That will mean you are only telling the story, you are not giving a review. Okay, so in that case, content marks can go lower. All right. American slang, color. Okay, color instead of color. Okay, so color instead of color. You have tumor instead of tumor, color instead of color, humor instead of humor. So spelling, if you are very American based, if you were born overseas, or if you actually studied in American schools before until now, and you are consistent in your American spelling and phrases, no problem. Okay, so but the thing is, if you have mix and match of American and British phrases all mixed up, it shows the examiner you are not sure what you are writing. You are not sure of the language. Okay, so let me go on to the next page of this essay. This is a good one. Okay, very descriptive, a lot of phrases. Okay, but okay, I would say this is a good one. Okay, this will really be good. Okay, here is another one. So this is what I have actually done with some of my students. Okay, so if you notice, if you cancel out this cohesive device, there are many challenges that will curve or change his personality or a behavior or someone's behavior. So when you want to improvise, you learn to put in this. Moreover, a change that could be negative, positive, or even both. In addition, so without these cohesive devices, the essay actually makes sense originally. Okay, but when you want to improvise, when you want to make sure, because why? Okay, this year examiners, lembaga peperiksaan examiners will be trained, not to say will be trained, will be advised. So to look at cohesive devices as we mark. Okay, so meaning we have to identify the organizations, we have to see cohesive devices, we have to see ellipses, we have to see the reference pronouns. So if you don't have all that, it may not be obvious. Okay, it may not be obvious. Therefore, if you can put all this in, it will be somehow safer. Okay, safer, and the examiners can see, oh, really a lot. Okay, really a lot. Then after looking at these cohesive devices, I can look for other things like ellipsis, okay, like substitution, okay, like reference pronouns. So even words like because, okay, so the simple linkers here. Okay, so if you want to improvise yourself using that, you take out your old essays, you take out the essays you have written, you submitted, you improvise. Okay, so this is a good one. Next, you only paper 3. I have only 5 more minutes. Speaking, very easy. Okay, speaking. So very quickly, I'll go through in 5 minutes. So speaking, you have this. So like PD3 also, you have candidate A, candidate B. Okay, so you have one interlocutor. So you have one assessor here. So compared, I mean, if you remember in PD3, So you have your 2 teachers, right? So from your school. So this year is supposed to be different. This interlocutor will come from your school. This assessor will come from another school. Okay, so it can be any other language teacher, English language teacher from other schools in your district. Okay, in your district. For example, in Johor Bahru, I don't know, there will be a lot. Okay, there will be a lot. So just pray it will be someone nice. Why? This interlocutor will give you lesser marks, only 6. So assessor here from another school will give you 18 marks here. Okay, so 18 marks. So 24 marks in total. The duration will be 13 minutes. You have part 1, you have part 2, you have part 3 that you have to answer. Okay, so 13 minutes. So part 1 will be simple interview. What is your name? Where do you live? Where do you come from? My advice is use proper sentences. Okay, don't say what is your name? Alia. Where do you come from? JB. How do you come to school? Baslo. Okay. Make sure you can use proper sentences. My name is this. So I live in Johor Bahru. I live in Taman Century, for example. I come to school by bus. Okay. Okay, you will do this in a pair work. Okay, you will do this in pair. So examiners will, the interlocutor will know who to ask. Okay, so your teacher will know who to ask you. Then you'll be asked some normal questions like this, general questions to warm you up. So what do you normally do on weekends? Okay, so what do you usually do after coming back from school? Okay, so simple questions, 3 to 4 minutes for both of you. Total duration 13 minutes. So this part will take 3 to 4 minutes. Okay, so next one. So second part, you have individual long turn. You have 3 to 4 minutes or so. So candidates will respond to a question on a familiar topic relating to candidates' experiences. So basically, you will be given a question like this, a favorite gadget. So one of you will talk about this. It's like the second part of your essay. Okay, talk about your favorite gadget. What is it? Or what it is? Okay, when you got it, how often you use it? So about this gadget here. So you will talk for about a minute or plus. Okay, then the examiner will ask your friend, your candidate B on one question on the question. Then the next person to talk will be the candidate B. Okay, so your teacher will train you this. Don't worry, okay? Then part 3, this will be the difficult part. So you will be given a mind map like this. Okay, so 2 of you will be talking. Your teacher, the interlocutor, will not ask you any question. Okay, so your teacher will not ask you any question. So you have to discuss all this. And again, it is not just listing. You cannot just put comma. Students should get involved in sports because they should have better social skills, better time management, and so on and so forth. No, okay? It is not just comma and so on. So you will take turns. You can discuss with a friend for a few seconds, okay, for a short while. Then you can say who wants to choose which one and talk about which one. Of course, you have to give your opinions. You have to give your ideas. Okay, and then also you will be asked one question. Which one do you think is the most important? So this is the last question, the K-bar question. Why do you think to relieve stress is the most important thing? And why? Okay, so this will be speaking. So speaking, you will be marked based on grammar, your vocab, your communicative competence, your overall spoken performance. So it will be 6 marks here, 6 marks here, 6 marks here, and then 6 marks here. This will be given by your teacher, interlocutor. Okay, the rest 18 marks given by the assessor. Okay, all right. And one more thing, don't take too long to think. Okay, don't take too long to think because your hesitation and then your pauses will actually affect your marks. Huh? And then don't bring any other mother tongue, your BM, apa tu, okay, macam tu cikgu, no, okay? Don't bring in other languages, okay? So don't just sit there and wait also, okay? Because your teacher cannot prompt you for too long. Your teacher can only repeat the question again and again, the same question. Your teacher cannot give you the definition. Your teacher cannot explain the question to you. If you ask teacher, can you repeat? Your teacher can repeat. Teacher, can you explain? No. Your teacher will only repeat the question. That's it. Okay? So for listening, very simple, 30 marks. You have 4 parts. You have part 1, you have part 2, you have part 3, you have part 4. Okay. So part 1, 2, 3 will be quite simple. Okay, you have multiple choice questions, MCQ, ABC, ABC for part 2. Then part 3 simple. But part 4, this is the dangerous part. Only one word. Okay, only one word. This is where a lot of good students say, again, they slack. Okay, when it comes to this section, because they are so scared. They don't give the whole information. Okay, so they will give more words here. So just remember, for part 4, only one word. Okay, so each audio we played twice. Okay, so how to score? I think your teacher will tell you all this. I don't have to tell you a lot of things. Okay, any questions so far?
Okay.
Right.
Banyak juga ya cikgu soalan saya dalam YouTube ni sebenarnya.
Okay.
Okay, so kita ada apa yang cikgu nak tambah lagi?
Okay, I think I'm done so far. Okay. Okay, how many times can a teacher repeat the question? Okay, Alisa. So you have only 30 minutes, right? So the teacher will repeat once or twice, and if you really cannot understand, he or she can still repeat, just repeat the question. What if a partner tak nak bagi? Okay, kerjasama in speaking. Okay, so the marks will be assessed individually, right? So you will be assessed individually. So whether or not you are able to give your responses, it depends on you. Okay, so and then also marks will be given to those who are able to initiate. So let's say there are two of you, you and your friend. If your friend is very quiet, then if you're able to bring, if you're able to move, or if you're able to initiate, you can say, what do you think? Okay, so what do you think, Ali, for example? On my part, I believe this is so and so, but Ali, what do you think? If you can keep trying to prompt your friend, you help your friend, that will actually help you get some marks also. But of course, you cannot just say Ali, Ali, Ali. No, it has to be in proper statements. So Ali, I think if I were to do this, I would do this way. How about you? Okay. Right. Okay. Let me see some questions here.
For part 3 can be one of the genre, or they will give 2 and we can choose.
Are you talking about the essays, right?
I think it's about essay.
Yeah, essay. Essay, you are given 3 questions for part 3. Okay, for part 3, and then you will choose one question only. So email is a must. Okay, email is a must. Second question is a must. Third question, you will choose one of the questions out of the 3. Okay.
How to improve vocab when speaking?
Okay, speaking will come from all the reading. Basically, you have to remember in SPM, the questions will be very close to you. Okay, very close to you because you are teenagers. The questions will be something about sports, cell phones, and the things that are actually taught by your teachers in their textbooks since Form 4 and Form 5, from Form 4 and Form 5. You have tourism, you have places, you have crimes, okay, then you have a lot of things, okay, about shopping. So as you are going through your textbooks, you have to know the vocab, okay? For example, in the first chapter, what do? I will make my bed. Instead of saying every morning I wake up, I clean my bed. No, that is the wrong vocab. I will make my bed. So those are the things you have learned in your lessons in school. And I'm very sure teachers have followed the textbooks very, very closely. Okay?
I think it's a good question, Cikgu Bobby. If students use hand gesture for speaking, they will be penalized?
Okay, if you use gestures, gestures will not be a form of speaking. So no, you have to speak. Okay.
Okay, I think banyak juga soalan tapi kita tak jawab semua kan cikgu because of
okay.
Kan masa tu. Cuma saya nak tambah saya tengok discussion student dalam ni tu kan. Ada satu soalan memang saya nak tanya daripada student tu. Memang English dalam English SPM kalau ada antara American words dengan British, yang mana sepatutnya yang student gunakan words tu? American?
Well, both accepted. We cannot say American English is wrong. But the thing is consistency. If they choose to use American English, everything should be American, even the vocab being used. Okay, like cookies, biscuits, so they have to know everything. Okay, cookies, biscuits, and then words such as truck and lorries. So you have to know which one is British, which one is American.
So tak boleh campur ya, dalam sentence tu tak boleh ada American, tak boleh ada British, dia mesti ada one saja.
Normally when it comes to spelling, if we notice that 95% of the time the student uses British English spelling, then suddenly there's one American, so we know it's odd. So that will be wiggle or underline. Okay, but marks will not really be penalized unless the meaning runs away. Okay, unless if it doesn't make sense.
Okay, thank you so much cikgu, banyak yang cikgu banyak advice. Saya tengok banyak benda saya pun belajar sama tadi sepanjang 2 jam. Pun tak cukup masa sebenarnya daripada kan, daripada untuk yang writing, reading sampailah listening sampailah yang kita panggil viva. Okay, maybe kata-kata akhir daripada Cikgu Bobby for student yang bersama dengan kita petang ni.
Okay, so I wish you all the best. Okay, very important thing. Okay, my reminder is your handwriting, okay, because the papers will be scanned. So your handwriting should be very, very clear, very neat, okay? So, and then good luck, all the best to you. Okay, it's not difficult, English is not difficult at all. Okay, and then with listening to help you, with speaking to help you, I think you will be able to do well in the exam. Okay, good luck.
Okay, so daripada kami, from Management University and wakil untuk Pejabat Pendidikan Daerah Johor Bahru, mengucapkan thank you so much Cikgu Bobby, terima kasih banyak-banyak
thank you very much
yang curahkan for advice for the student. Ilmu petang ni sangat banyak.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sangat membantu pelajar yang saya rasa kalau betul-betul pelajar ikut petang ni so daripada kami, thank you so much cikgu, mohon maaf kalau ada kelemahan sepanjang program ini, and kepada para pelajar dan juga para guru yang berada pada petang ini dalam YouTube, thank you so much for your time. Kami tahu sekarang masa cikgu pun banyak untuk PDPR kan, PDPR banyak mudah, kita terpaksa belajar pagi petang cikgu. Okay, so thank you so much cikgu daripada MSU dan PPD. Kalau ada masa, sudi-sudikanlah kalau kami jemput cikgu lagi
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, all right. Thank you, MSU. Thank you also PPDJB. All right. Okay.
See you again, cikgu. Thank you so much. Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you semua.